Welcome to Fake Presidents, a real podcast about, well, you know.
Each episode, we will take a deep dive into a fictional American president from pop culture to see just how much fiction there really is. We're two former political junkies who do like talking about politics. Mm-hmm. We just don't like talking about actual real-life politics.
Because it's just too damn depressing.
I'm Eric Buckman, a former political consultant turned TV writer.
And I'm Ben Oren, a former journalist, sometimes speechwriter, and all-the-time TV producer.
And today, our journey through new fake presidents in 2025 continues. We had Harrison Ford as President Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross.
/ Red Hulk.
/ Red Hulk. In Captain America. Brave New World. We had James Marsden as President Bradford in Paradise.
/ Cyclops.
Yes, but he was not Cyclops in that.
Well, we'll see what happens in season 2.
We had Bobby De Niro and Angela Bassett as a pair of two fake presidents in Zero Day.
As / Don Corleone.
And as Tina Turner?
Yeah.
We had the legendary Paul Fitzgerald as the president. President Morgan, if I recall.
Yes.
In The Residence.
/ the guy he played also on those episodes of Veep.
Did he win in Veep, or is he just a presidential contender?
No, he did not win. He's a low-level congressman. He was almost kind of like one of the dumb there's many dumb Kennedys now. He's like a dumber Kennedy is how he came across.
And now our journey takes us to the top of a summit.
Oh.
The G20 summit. In Amazon Prime's G20, starring Viola Davis as our 6th new fake president of 2025. And not our last, because last week the trailer dropped for Amazon Prime's summer action comedy. Coming in July, Heads of State, not a sequel to the Chris Rock movie from...
Wait, first off, you don't know that.
You're right, I don't.
Who knows what happens in it? Maybe they reference Chris Rock's character.
It's 20 years later.
Yeah.
But anyway, that movie has John Cena as the president.
That's correct. It has John Cena as the president. WWE superstar / very funny comedic actor.
Oh, yeah.
John Cena as the president of the United States.
And Idris Elba as the prime minister of the United Kingdom.
It's a good old action comedy. It's a very 90s concept, along with today's movie.
Yeah, the 90s are back.
G20 is also like a very 90s movie, which coming from me is the highest of compliments.
Yeah, I got major rock vibes from this movie.
Whoa, Eric, this is a family podcast.
No, The Rock. Not Dwayne The Rock. I mean the movie The Rock with Sean Connery and Nicolas Cage, Michael Bay.
Oh, the one that the new guy who runs the country, he wants to do a sequel to that and
bring Alcatraz back.
Bring it back. Make Alcatraz great again.
But we're not talking about that.
No.
We don't talk real politics on this show. We talk fake politics.
Fake politics. The fake politics of G20. Which,
G20.
This was very enjoyable. Guys, if this movie just came out a couple of weeks ago, if you haven't watched it, press pause right now for us. Go watch it. It's a quick watch. It's an enjoyable movie. We're not a movie review podcast.
No.
What do we know? But this was fun.
We're not a movie review podcast, but we can recommend this one.
Do you recommend it also?
I recommend, highly. Totally.
This is like a big Siskel and Ebert moment for us.
My name is Andrew Shepard, and I am the president.
G20, I really like what Amazon's doing. I don't know if this and Heads of State both were commissioned as scripts to see which one might get to completion first, and that would be their fake president movie. And they both just got to the finish line at the same time. So, I guess we should greenlight both of them.
This was a movie that should have come out in theaters this month. I'm sure it would have. I don't think it would have gotten lost under the Minecraft, Sinners, brouhaha. I think this would have been great programming to go along with it. This was a movie I wish I could have seen on a big screen with people, because there are so many moments that even at home on my couch, I was like, ooh, it's a big fun movie.
There was a moment just for us.
There was a moment just for us. I made a note of that.
Hour and 30 minutes in. Oh, I have the screen grab.
Yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah, everyone, as you hear this, you probably already saw, if you follow us on social media, check out our social media page, because I will be posting it. I will be putting a picture of the moments that Antony Starr has the villain, the rogue soldier, Rutledge.
He's kind of out of the mold of some of the bad guys in The Rock.
He's a perfect 90s villain.
Yep.
No, he says to Viola Davis, he screams at her, you're a fake president.
You're a fake. You're a fraud. You're a fake president.
But yeah, why don't we go through the people who made this movie?
Who did make this movie?
This was directed by Patricia Riggin, who directed The 33, which about the people who were trapped in the caves in Thailand, which I didn't see. She directed a lot of TV. She's directed Jack Ryan, which actually, like, a lot of the drone shots in this movie of, like, cars driving reminded me of Jack Ryan as I was watching it. The story was come up by Logan Miller and Noah Miller. Are they brothers? Are they married? I don't know. But they have good ideas either way. It was written by the two of them as well, along with Caitlin Parrish and Erica Weiss, who are a writing team as well. They did a show called The Red Line. I think Caitlin Parrish is a slightly bigger known entity. She has also written for Under the Dome, Supergirl, two shows that I haven't watched. But the Miller brothers or spouses, they also did White Boy Rick, which was a fun movie with Matthew McConaughey.
You got Viola Davis playing the president.
She is an EGOT winner.
But because we just did The Residents, I mean, she does come from another Shondaland project. I think probably the most people have maybe seen her in How to Get Away with Murder.
Viola has also played Michelle Obama.
Oh, was that on the Showtime series? The
First Lady series. She won her Oscar for Fences. She's Amanda Waller in the DC universe. She's everywhere. She's great. She's 59 years old, and she fucking kicks ass in this movie, by the way.
Wow. How old is Anthony Anderson?
He's probably a couple of years older than us.
Well, actually, according to this, 54.
Okay. So much older than us.
Much older than us. But he plays the first gentleman, Anthony Anderson.
He's great.
Yeah.
We know him from Blackish. We know him from The Departed. We know him from Malibu's Most Wanted.
We know him from To Tell the Truth.
We know him from the Amazon series Buy It Now, which I worked on. And he was a guest panelist. And he's wonderful. I'll just say, I usually don't like to toss names around like some people on this podcast of big Hollywood people that they know and worked with. But I've worked with Anthony Anderson, and he is a joy. He is wonderful. He is funny. He is cool. Nothing is showy about him. He's a good dude.
But speaking of people named Anthony, or should I say
Antony.
Yeah, we also have Antony Starr, an Australian actor who, speaking of the Amazon Prime universe, worked on a little TV series called The Boys. Still works on it, actually.
Homelander. He's a good bad guy.
Good bad guy, but you mean good as in like
he plays good.
He plays, but he's bad. Like there's no redeeming qualities to that character.
To Homelander, none at all. Marcy Martin plays the first daughter. She's also from Blackish. The character's named Serena Sutton. First family also has a younger son, Christopher Ferrard, who, I don't think he's done much stuff. We also, rounding out the cast, Elizabeth Marvel, who is in House of Cards, who actually played the president in Homeland. So maybe we'll get around to her at some point. She plays the Secretary of the Treasury, Joanna Worth. We have Clark Gregg, who we just saw in Zero Day, who many of us have seen over the past 15, 20 years in the Marvel Universe as Coulson. He plays the Vice President, Harold Mosley. And rounding out the cast, we have the guy who plays Will Trent on the TV show Will Trent. But his name is Ramón Rodriquez, and he plays Secret Service agent Manny Ruiz.
A character who I kept waiting for him to die. I'm like, at this point, he's going to fulfill his duties as a Secret Service agent, and he's going to get shot, die, and give the president yet another reason to be all on their own.
To be all that she can be. Yes. To be an army of one.
But no, he doesn't die.
He doesn't die.
I have to wonder if he was written to die, and like, this guy's actually like he could star in this movie.
You could spin, if they wanted to do like a G20 universe, I'm about it. If they want to have next year come out with G21 or something, cool. Do a prequel, G19.
This is a presidential favor.
Okay, so that's the cast. We gave you the writers. We gave you the studios. Technically, the opening credits, you saw company logos for MGM and MRC, Media Rights Capital. I think that's what it stands for. Yep. Which implied to me that maybe there was a plan at some point for a theatrical release. And, and the powers that be maybe at Amazon are like, let's make them come to us.
I guess. I don't understand the business model.
Well, if any listeners out there work at Amazon and want to tell us
to me.
Their thinking, because we want more people to see this movie.
1 month in theaters. Could have made some bank. Speaking of bank, this movie starts off with a version of a bank heist, kind of.
Yes. I guess you'd call it a crypto heist.
Crypto heist, yeah.
But I guess when you say crypto heist, you're picturing people sitting at a keyboard doing a lot of typing.
Like sneakers. Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's actually a foot chase.
Foot chase, like a mugging. A mugging. It's a crypto mugging.
The target is a crypto wallet.
Are those things?
I think any device with a hard drive can be a crypto wallet.
It's a very tactile, physical thing.
It had a screen on it, so you could always look and see how much money is in it.
But it's fluctuating with the market, though.
Yeah, so it's got some sort of Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, cell chip. It's connected. It's hooked up.
Is that why it had that long wire coming out of it?
It's a dial-up. Every time it has to update the amount.
You have to be very specific with your prop masters about what you want. And if they're not like big into the internet, they're just going to assume that it's connected to a wall.
You've got crypto. We do open with basically two heists. We open with the heist of the crypto wallet, the foot chase through. Is that Paris?
Yeah, Paris. This wallet had $70 million worth of crypto.
Yeah, and we're intercutting with that and back at the White House where Viola Davis is being informed that they've got her. And so while a woman is being chased in Paris, we're with Viola Davis as she's being informed that there's an operation afoot. Her people are keeping tabs on. And you might even think it's the same operation. Maybe
That might even be intent, yeah.
No, it turns out it's a good mislead.
It was a very good mislead.
Yeah, but it turns out, no, it's actually her daughter who went missing.
She had snuck out in the middle of the night to go drinking in Georgetown.
Specifically after messing with the White House's RFID system, they make
sure. Yeah, so that the Secret Service couldn't track her.
Because she's very good at manipulating RFID.
Should we tell people what RFID, what it is?
Radio Frequency Identification, I think, is what it stands for. It's at this point, RFID, it's... How do I even describe it? It's so commonplace now. Like if you have a key fob at work that scans you into a building, that key card has a little RFID on it. It doesn't need to be powered. It gets powered by the reader you put it near. A lot of smartphones now have RFID to help with their credit card transfers or whatnot. You might wear an RFID bracelet if you go to the Intuit Dome and you're going to see a concert. They might track you inside the dome for the Clippers. It's not the most high-tech or even the most new thing. Like when I think of RFID, I think of a mostly harmless, pretty limited use case technology, except for some reason it got picked up on by the Q-types, the QAnon types.
Ooh. We love them. They subscribe to our Patreon, so... Be careful how you talk about them.
But let's just say they believe that RFID is part of the grand plan to put RFID chips into people so everyone can be backed.
And of course, they have a point.
Except it's not really great as a tracker. Like it can monitor you as you move past certain thresholds where you can have readers, but if you're not near a reader, it doesn't know where you are. RFID does not have a big range, and it's not powered. It's limited use case.
We still have to be, but we still have to be careful about it. I understand what you're saying, Eric.
Okay, let's just speed through this plot. The President of the United States, after she deals with her daughter and makes it explicitly clear that she has no time for this, she worked twice as hard to get here as anyone else who had to get to the White House.
You know I've had to work twice as hard to get here. Why do you need to make it harder?
Of course, the daughter's response is, you worked twice as hard to get here. I didn't ask to be here at all. This isn't my thing. She has a press conference where she's about to go to G20. She reminds everybody that her big thing is ending world hunger.
Through the Together plan, which is going to solve world hunger through banking and using digital currency, specifically in sub-Saharan Africa.
Right. So she wants to use crypto in a positive way to help fund microloans to farmers who otherwise don't have a place to store their money because it's not large enough amounts to get the attention of a bank. And this is, of course, based off of actual programs to give farmers across the globe $100 here, $50 here.
Microloans, which economists across the board pretty much say do work.
Yeah, they do work because they're just the amount of money that is needed for somebody to accomplish something, but without being so big that they can't pay it back.
Yep.
Which would further hurt the farmers. Okay, so it's a plan based on that. There's specifically referenced the fact that there's a lot of farmers in Africa that could benefit from this. She happens to be traveling to Africa for the G20 summit, although nothing's really ever made of that. It's not like the two are connected, or she's looking specifically to do a tour through the African countries that would be helped the most. No, they're going to South Africa for South Africa's, in this world, first G20 summit. It's a risky endeavor because the country's portrayed as not being able to properly secure itself. Which is why they bring in a group called PAX Worldwide to help secure the cliffside resort where the G20 summit is going to take place at.
They're a private contracting company.
Yes.
Essentially mercenaries for hire.
Mercenaries for hire.
They're security agents, but they're mercenaries.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, because of the first daughter's escapades, the first gentleman and the president, they do not trust their kids to be left alone while they're out of town. Kids are coming with us.
The Suttons are going to South Africa.
So they all go to South Africa. Meanwhile, we see this PAX Worldwide securing the place, everything in order, trying to prove all the naysayers wrong, that South Africa does not have what it takes to host such an important summit. And the first thing that they do is bring in at the last minute the bad guy. Antony Starr shows up to be like, here's your super consultant of security. Thank God you're here. Also, thank God you already know all the people we're working with, all the mercenaries we've hired were formerly on your squad.
They love him. A lot of them were together in the Middle East, in Iraq, which he calls a dirty little war. Pax is hired, or at least the person who suggests that they hire Pax is the finance secretary. Worth is the person who suggested bringing them on board. And her relationship to the president seems pretty lovey-dovey. Their buddies are drinking wine on Air Force One on their way. They were political rivals during the last primary, whereas it seemed as if Worth was the front runner and Viola Davis overtook her. But they were able to mend fences, and Viola Davis brought her on as her Secretary Treasury.
It's Obama-Hillary vibes.
Yes.
While they were running for office, I believe that the Treasury Secretary, she tried to malign Viola Davis's character as a war criminal.
A warmonger.
Warmonger.
Because her background is the army. She is viewed as a hero for saving a kid during a war in Fallujah, I believe, during a battle in Fallujah. She's on the cover of Time magazine carrying a child as if she was a Heisman Trophy winner.
That's kind of what made her career. She was a soldier. There was an explosion. She was wounded. She winds up saving a child from the burning wreckage of a building or vehicle of some kind.
Yep.
She needs medical care herself, which is when we find out that that's where she met her husband, who was an Army medic. Mm-hmm. In fact, that's why his code name is Angel, his Secret Service code name. The kids are avid and A students.
So one of them really likes to edit.
Yeah.
And so that's a little inside baseball joke for everybody in the industry listening to this podcast.
Yeah. Your code name is Final Cut Pro. People don't really use that anymore.
Doesn't really roll off the tongue.
We know that Sutton's got a knee injury, but even so, she's still able to train in martial arts with her Secret Service agents, which is exactly how we first meet Gerard Butler and Aaron Eckhart.
A little fighty.
And Olympus Has Fallen. Yeah, so it's always a good sign when the president and their Secret Service agent have a relationship so close that they don't have to pull their punches with each other when they're sparring. We do get a hint of actual political parties. It's never said, but as she's headed towards the G20 summit, we do see one of the president's critics on CNN, a New Hampshire senator who says that he does not like President Sutton, says that she doesn't have any respect from foreign leaders, and she lacks the diplomacy of her predecessor. And we do know what his party is, which should help inform who her party is.
Yeah.
Because his party, Ben, is independent.
Independent.
I thought that was a very clever use. Clearly, he's a stand-in for whoever the independent is in Vermont at the time, because Vermont is, right now it's Bernie Sanders, obviously. Yes. But Minnesota, Vermont, New Hampshire, all these cold places, they tend to like to support independence every so often. And so, yeah, they go to G20, and that's when Rutledge's plan jumps into motion.
Some plans don't jump into motion, right? Because we know that people are not coming together on the Together plan.
Right. Two main obstacles are the IMF, the Impossible Missions Force.
The International Monetary Fund.
Got it. That's headed by the hotel manager from White Lotus Season 2.
Yes, same character.
She's going places.
She's just exasperated with everybody.
I mean, in many ways, this resort could have been a White Lotus.
Oh, yeah, location. 100%. That could have been the fourth season.
Oh, man. So, yes, IMF, and the other main obstacle is
Britain.
the UK, Great Britain, England's, whatever you want to call it. It's that prime minister.
He's not a fan of her specifically.
Yeah. Well, we also find out he doesn't like powerful women in general. Yes. And while that's going on, Clark Gregg is back home, taking it easy. What's he have to worry about? There's nothing going on.
Nothing. This is basically a vacay.
Yeah.
Until
now, this is when Rutledge's plan goes into motion. Step one is blow up the room that's got basically all the troops in reserve in the event of needing to take military action. The strike force that travels with the president is gone. The few Secret Service members that are still there are intermixed with the Pax Worldwide people who are bad. Mm-hmm. And of course, there's one Secret Service agent we find out pretty quickly is actually bad too. And it turns out to be Darden, the guy who the first daughter never liked anyway. No one likes that guy. No. Always a Secret Service agent no one likes. You might say he's the Dylan McDermott of this movie.
But then with that in motion, they're able to take out all the remaining Secret Service agents or guards within the room where all the world leaders are having their opening night cocktail party. Yeah. And so all the leaders of the free world are now being held hostage.
All except for, I would say 3, but does IMF had a world leader? Important position.
She's a world leader. Not elected by the people world leader.
Let's say it's 2.5 world leaders.
Okay.
Yeah. 2.5 heads of state.
Funny choices for this combo. Because
yeah. So basically, President Sutton, using her military skills in conjunction with her head of security, Will Trent, they managed to get the Prime Minister of the UK and the head of the IMF out of there.
No, you're forgetting one more person.
Oh, and the First Lady of
South Korea.
It's another 5 minutes before she speaks English. And so you wonder, it's a joke that she doesn't, without her translator, she doesn't understand them. Because they do a funny thing where as they're escaping, she actually notices like a laundry chute and just leaves them and they don't know where she went. And they have to like catch up to where she is. Meanwhile, back in the ballroom, we find out that what Rutledge is doing, he wants all the world leaders to basically read a certain set of words into the camera. The words, of course, include a number of syllables that will then allow them to deepfake all the world leaders into then creating videos of them, fake videos, that show them openly conspiring on a hot mic to rig the entire world's economy.
Basically, Rutledge broadcast to the entire world that they are not terrorists. No. And he says that they're freedom fighters of sort because they refuse to stand by and let these world leaders strip the rights and wealth of their citizens.
Yeah. At a few points, even before all the bad stuff starts going down, like we do see like a reporter asking the president, is your crypto plan an attempt to buoy the failing dollar? So there's already some suspicions out there that this Together plan might be selfishly an effort to somehow boost U.S. currency.
But Rutledge, at this point, not only is he saying that this is what they want to do, he needs help from everybody in the world to regain their rights and to keep their wealth. He's telling them that they need to take their money from banks and stocks and to invest in crypto now because that's the only currency that they cannot control.
Right. Strike back. You have a cabal of world leaders that are looking to steal your power, steal your money. They control the banks. They control the stock market. So you have to, as a citizen of the global economy, as a citizen of the world, you have to take your money out and invest it in the one thing they can't control.
Crypto.
Which, of course, would create a run on the banks.
And also buy my beet juice pill. And what other? My pillow. And like, what other scams do we have that this guy could sell? But basically, the VP, as he's seeing this on, I don't know, they're watching on Instagram? I don't know. But basically, he calls it a global coup.
Yes, it's a global coup. The VP is now in the Situation Room, keeping watch. There's never any discussion of invoking the 25th Amendment during all this, even though it's clear that the president is no longer able to lead America.
No, under complete duress, especially if they know that deep fakes are being used.
Yes.
Because off the bat, they're like, oh, that's a deep fake. Like, but we know that, but the dummies out there won't know that.
No. So, they're deep faking their videos using AI in order to manipulate the crypto market.
And while this is going on, the president and her ragtag group they do have a plan. They need to get off the premises, and they know the one vehicle that could help them do that is all the way down in the garage. The Beast.
The presidential limo that travels with the president everywhere. If they can get in that, they'll have just enough firepower and bulletproofness to get out of the compound to prove to the world that the images that they're seeing from inside aren't real.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's a thorn in Rutledge's plan because Rutledge needs all of the world leaders to say the code words so he can manipulate all of them. Okay. So while they're doing that, we have Anthony Anderson and his kids on the run. Basically, while Anthony Anderson and the kids are on the run trying to use the daughter's wherewithal technology to hack into a communication system so they can get word out, to let the proper authorities know what's going on. Because the main problem in the White House, the Situation Room, why can't they send in a bunch of soldiers now to free them?
Well, it's because they're afraid that any actions they take that result in the death of a head of state could be considered an act of war.
Yes. So if U.S. troops, even though a lot of them are now dead, but if any country's strike force goes in there and harms another world leader, it's a major problem. But fortunately, thanks to the daughter, they're able to start coordinating together to a certain degree. Meanwhile, the president, she wants to get these other world leaders out there, but she also wants to help the kitchen staff.
She wants to help everybody. She loves side missions.
Yeah.
Ruiz is all about the main mission. Get to the beast. Just go down this, get to the beast. But the president, she sees other people. She's like, oh, side mission. Let's do that.
And unfortunately, she does do that because by freeing the kitchen staff, she also uncovers 2 South African
undercover military operatives
who were there because even South Africa itself was so worried about things going sideways that they wanted to make sure they had people everywhere.
Yeah, but we find out in a very cool way, right? During this fight scene in the kitchen, Ruiz takes a bullet for the president, which you're like, we're halfway through the movie and this guy's already taken a bullet for the president? Typically, this is something that we'd see at the very end.
Yeah. I thought he was gone here.
And then the undercover operatives, who we don't know yet, they managed to get a knife. And just as we thought that one of the bad guys is dead, it turns out he's not dead. He's about to shoot his gun off. They take the big old knife and whoop, and stab the guy to death, throw it across. And that's where I had I wrote down this term because it occurs many times in the movie. In horror movies, you have jump scares. Mm-hmm. In this movie, we have jump kills, where we have kind of like moments that come out of nowhere that surprise me.
Yeah.
And that was the first one where I was like, oh, snap. That waiter just threw a knife across the room and got that guy right in the chest. That was awesome.
There's definitely a John McClane, Hans Gruber back and forth going on at this point between the president and Rutledge.
They got the walkie-talkies.
Via walkie-talkies. And it's like, give yourself up to save your kids. And so she basically decides, I'm going to give myself up, knowing it'd be enough of a distraction to all the other world leaders to get out. And for some reason, Rutledge only sends the one corrupt Secret Service agent to get her.
Yeah, that does not work out for Darden.
They send him down. Fortunately, I'm going to keep calling him Agent Will Trent.
Agent Will Trent.
Fortunately, he is able to take out that guy, freeing the president so she can have a few more action sequences as she and her family now strike back against the strike force that struck them.
Exactly. She lets the PM and the IMF and head back, they escape via the Beast. Her and Ruiz go back in. They have a plan, which is basically just cut the lights and blow shit up and kick ass.
And use the daughter's tech skills to hack into the system to basically hack into the RFID and start opening doors and stuff.
Yeah, but she's throwing grenades into fireplaces. She's beating people up. She crushes a throat. She crushes a throat.
Yeah, they tear up this resort good.
It was a shame that this was all done in the dark. That was I'm like an old man. I was like, why is it so dark?
Well, you got to watch it on a good TV, Ben. You got to get yourself an OLED.
I guess. Whatever. Anyway, she's in the room. Turns out the first gentleman, Anthony Anderson, and the Secretary of Treasury are tied up. Guns are pointed at them. This is now turns into a two-person play with the president and Rutledge having a philosophical debate about power.
Turns out their origin stories started in the same place.
Yep.
They were both part of the Coalition of the Willing. Rutledge representing Australia, Sutton representing America. They're in Fallujah combating terrorists, and an IUD that Rutledge said was intended for the Americans. Instead, it takes out Rutledge's vehicle, kills many of his comrades.
He uses a couple of key terms here. He calls it the big lie got her elected.
Well, yes, because in his mind, the photo that made her career was a result of a bomb that only exploded because of American needing oil. Like he brings it all back to a war for oil. It was your country manipulating everything. So even though she's just there as a soldier with no decision-making power,
none,
she's no different than him. The fact that she is now a representative, the physical face of the country that, in his view, started it all illegally, that she is now no better than the people who were in charge of the country 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's very angry about this, but at the same time, his crypto wallet at this point
is huge.
It's huge. Originally, it started at 70 million. Since he told the world to sell their stocks and empty their bank accounts and buy crypto, it is now up to $150 billion.
I thought it was a nice touch that as the crypto wallet got more full of crypto money, it actually got bigger. It turned to a Costanza.
There was a moment where he had to put napkins in the back of his army pants so that he could sit properly.
He was getting lower back pain.
Yeah, lower back
sitting
pain.
on his crypto wallet.
But he is getting very livid at the president. This is where we do get the lines, "You're a fake. You're a fraud. You're a fake president."
Yes, and that's when Ben and I are like, yeah! Woohoo! Finally.
I was like, should I text Eric about this? I was like, no, save it for the podcast.
And of course, this is also when the president clocks that even though she's a fellow hostage, the Treasury Secretary is acting a little strange. Seems a little too calm, too cool. Mm-hmm. And yet at one point, when the crypto wallet gets out of Rutledge's hands, she picks it up. Not to deprive Rutledge of his most prized possession, but to hide it.
Yeah, because a lot's going on at this point, right? Rutledge shoots Anthony Anderson, which leads to the president going ham. This is when Elizabeth Marvel gets the wallet. But Rutledge right now is getting the upper hand on Sutton, on Viola Davis. And just when we think like, oh shit, he's going to take out the president, we get one final jump kill. Not a jump kill, but a jump stabbing via the South Korean prime minister's wife.
Yes. She wounds Rutledge just enough, seemingly to take him out. I was like, oh, wait, that's how he goes through the... That's a surprise. I was expecting that.
Stabs him right in the neck with some glass that she picked up because she's angry because he might have killed her husband at this point. Is he dead or just bleeding to death?
The head of state of South Korea is one of the heroes in the hostage situation.
Yep.
Like, he's the one who puts together, I'm not going to say these words on camera because you're going to use these words to then deep fake me. And so they chop off his ear and make him say it. And then at a certain point, he's actually one of the first ones to fight back physically and winds up getting killed. So I think he is dead.
Okay.
Is my memory.
Well, we get a jump stabbing via South Korean prime minister's wife, which I knew something was going to happen. Yeah. I didn't know that was going to happen.
No. And the movie's over because that took care of Rutledge, and now everybody can be safe and sound.
Or you would think.
You would think. Yeah. If you've seen a movie, you know they're not going to let Rutledge die by anyone's hand other than Sutton's. So, yeah, Rutledge does have enough energy left to escape when no one's looking. He takes Avid hostage. They are getting aboard a helicopter to escape, which was his plan all along. Create enough chaos so his crypto wallet gets huge. And then while his soldiers are down below fighting it out with the cavalry, he escapes in the helicopter with all his crypto money, which is untraceable, and that he can, be a millionaire for the rest of his life. But nope, Sutton gets there as they're leaving, and you wind up with a very Captain America-ish, final showdown on a helipad as the helicopter is taking off.
And then he falls off the side at the end.
And then he falls off the side, and Sutton saves her daughter. And now we get to see a cover of Time magazine where Sutton is the person of the year. And the subhead says, Solving World Hunger.
Everybody signs off on the Together plan.
Get off my plane.
we missed out why Darden turned, why the Secret Service agent turned. Why does he say he turned, Ben?
You betrayed your country.
No.
Your wife betrayed my country when she decided farmers in Africa were more important than Americans.
He felt betrayed as a white guy?
No, 100%. The way he said farmers in Africa is like, well, he says for all farmers. She used Africa as an example.
There's farmers everywhere. There's farmers in America that could benefit from microloans.
Well, I think, they're getting big loans.
So, I mean, it's interesting how crypto is both a tool that she sees can be used for good, while he sees it as a tool to be used for bad.
I mean, that's kind of what makes a good bad guy versus good guy scenario, is that they're cut from the same cloth, but at some point they veer in different directions.
You might say they're two sides of the same crypto coin.
Crypto coin, yes.
Two sides of the same Bitcoin. Yeah, we don't know her party.
But, I mean, we know a lot about her in terms of her background. We know about the Army. We know that she beat a career politician in the primary in Worth. We know that she wasn't scared about running on her Army record.
Right. She didn't jump straight to president, though. She did work her way up.
We don't know how.
What else we know? We know she does martial arts. So she stays in shape. We know that...
She does get prickly with the press. I mean, she kind of does get angry when they ask her questions about the plan and also about her family. She's prickly for both. And to be complete, the questions aren't out of line.
We can presume that there are definitely concerns, I'll say, that her crypto plan is somehow going to affect the U.S. dollar, maybe not for the better. Either she's trying to rescue a failing dollar or trying to move on from it to some degree. And I thought it was interesting, a very telling moment is when shit's going down at the G20 summit. They're separated, but yet Anthony Anderson tells the kids, yeah, your mom and I talked about what we'd do if this happened. So she knew if she became president of the United States, there's a good chance at some point she's going to be in a diehard situation.
Not just a higher chance, because of course there would be a higher chance, but a good chance.
She definitely knew there'd be not just a figurative target on her back from her political enemies, but a literal target on her back. And if ever
Which
her
is
life
why
was in danger,
it was a good idea for her to wear a red dress, because as we all know, laser targets are red, so it'd be harder for somebody to shoot her. Think about it.
Interesting. But anyway, what can we tell about Party?
On paper at first, if you're like, oh, she was in the Army, she wears a red dress, we're going to look for color cues, you might think that she could be a Republican, but no, she's a Democrat. She's a Democrat.
And you're saying that because...
it's all because of the Together plan. She's a Democrat.
A Democrat, and here's where I could see it either way. She could be a Silicon Valley, California Republican. Like, I can totally see some Sam Altman type IDing her in her story in the Time magazine cover and going to her and being like, you should run for office. And in fact, the backbone of your campaign, your poker career should be crypto. Well, it should be. Okay, so here's what we get to the effective altruism of it all.
Okay.
So effective altruism, I was going to say this for what is it about 2025, but it comes in the party too. So
effective altruists tend to be more Democrats.
I would say they're libertarians who might identify publicly as being for like social justice maybe and certain humanitarian causes. They're trying to use their resources for good, for charity. Like the idea of effective altruism, that's something that Sam Bankman-Fried was a proponent of. And the idea is to use computer programming, to use algorithms to figure out the most cost-effective ways to donate one's money, to get the most effective use out of it to help the most people at the lowest cost.
Well, so money can't buy happiness, but it can buy social change.
That's what it is. But in practice, it's usually, how can I write off my crypto investments to pay less taxes? It's, the blockchain can fix everything. Crypto can fix everything. And so it's still not only is tech the mechanism by which you can figure out how to donate money, but then tech is the end result too, because by investing in our own tech, we can then be the agents of change that just happen to be enriching us while we're saving the world, conceivably. Although if you look at their actual investments and where the money's going, like it's not like they've done the math and they figure out, oh yeah, mosquito nets in Africa, that's where you can get the most
bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck.
It stops malaria.
But that's because that's like 1990s, early 2000s thinking. No. Effective altruism is like, old school's out, new school's in. If you aren't using crypto on the blockchain, you're not doing shit. And so that's why I think her embrace of this, it's very California, very Northern California, very Silicon Valley. So there's a chance, there is room for a Republican to come out of there, like an Arnold Schwarzenegger type California Republican.
Well, it's hard also, right? Because if you think of politicians running on their military record, that hasn't worked very well for the past 30-something years, right? If we look at the Democrats who tried to run on their military record, we have John Kerry, didn't work out. Wesley Clark, didn't work out. Mayor Pete, didn't necessarily work out. But then also on the flip side with John McCain,
didn't help him.
Also didn't work out.
Even George W. Bush, though, National Guardsman.
He went AWOL. I guess the last person to actually be able to run on their record and win is the first Bush.
Yeah, George H.W. Bush, yeah.
And today, he wouldn't have made it out based off what we know about his war record. It would have been used against him because when he ejected from his plane, it led to somebody else dying. Right?
I actually don't know that story.
I believe that when he ejected, there was somebody else in the plane and that person died.
This is worth a quick, real-time fact check.
Now, this is what the people on Q, our Q people on Patreon, love this content.
Jet crash survivor. Torture, cannibalism, and submarine rescues. George H.W. Bush. The 20-year-old lieutenant found himself the sole survivor of the crash, floating in the Pacific on an inflatable raft. Wait, where's the cannibalism coming?
Yeah.
No, there's numerous articles about it. Wow, I think he lost his first two planes.
The other man chute didn't open and fell to his death. Ooh.
Ouch.
He didn't directly kill anybody, but somebody died when he ejected. Yeah. It wasn't because of him, but you're telling me that if in a primary, if somebody wouldn't bring up that somebody died while he survived, that causes questions.
How dare you come into this office and bark at me like some little junkyard dog? I am the President of the United States.
The reason why I think Republican is in play, like right now you think of Viola Davis and you think of a president who she represents and your first thought is, oh yeah, in the year 2025, there's no way the Republican Party is going to nominate somebody who cares about international diplomacy and solving world hunger. Let's just say her platform is not America first. And so it's hard to imagine a Republican nominee who's...
Wait, well, Viola points it out at the very top of the movie when she's talking to her daughter, that she had to work twice as hard. And two of those things that made her work twice as hard are her race and her sex.
Remember, this is a world that post 9/11 went in a very different direction. We presumably did not get Biden or Trump presidencies. Maybe we still got Obama, maybe. But it feels like things veered rather drastically. So there's a chance that she could still be I'm not going to say Reagan Republican, but a Bush Republican.
Which party would have two women as frontrunners?
There's a world where she could have been like a Condoleezza Rice type.
We have Worth running against her, who is the presumed favorite. So we have two women at the top of the party. They're Democrats.
But the fact that she wound up as the Treasury Secretary implies that she could have been the head of a bank for all we know. When you think of powerful Republican women, you're thinking money. So she still falls into that mold. She could be an entrepreneur, a business person. She was on the Shark Tank.
Most likely she was on Shark Tank, actually. I think Viola Davis, President Sutton, I think she's a Democrat. I think she was some sort of junior senator. I think she went the Obama route to the presidency.
Interesting.
Especially with kids also, and I feel like the kids didn't want, well, that's like a common trope in movies where it's like, well, I didn't choose this, you did. So never mind that. I think it's the Obama route.
It'd be more interesting if the kids did choose it.
Yeah. I wonder what happens if we fill out all these forms. Oh, we're going to get mom.
How? Because I'm the goddamn President of the United States of America.
We're not that far apart on party because I'm saying there is a world where she could be a Republican if the Republican Party was still on the same track it was in, say, 2004.
Here's my last argument. She cares more about helping the farmers in sub-Saharan Africa than she does about the use of the crypto and the digital currency.
But the fact that she's open to it, the fact that she's even been sold in that plan, that definitely screams somebody who is already in bed with Silicon Valley. That said, you're right. She probably is a Democrat. I'm going to still go with Northern California because I think she's got the bug in her ear about crypto for a while now. I definitely think that she has seen crypto as a tool for positive change. Maybe she was mayor of San Francisco for a bit. Maybe she went straight to Sacramento as a state rep. maybe she was even a senator at some point from California.
Okay. And what do you think it says about the year 2025?
Ben, what do you think it says?
Well, I think it says crypto bros are willing to burn it all down if they sense poor people might be getting something. But actually, I agree with a lot of stuff that you're saying about crypto. But I think if we want to apply it to what's going on in the world right now and what we've seen over the past couple of weeks, we're in April and May of 2025, can you sell an international humanitarian program to the American people and not be able to answer the question, what's in it for us?
That's what's missing from this.
What is the U.S. getting from helping these farmers? And should the president, should our country expect to get something like tangible in return? Does it have to be transactional?
See, that's what was missing for me. If I was advising a presidential candidate or somebody in office to do that, what you focus on is the fact that we in America have more than we need. And that in America, we are a place of abundance. And that not only can we solve world hunger with what we export, but we can also help our own farmers. Like the flyover states don't need to be flyover states. We make those the landing states. We make them a destination for global altruism for what, Ben? What, Ben? You're making a face. You don't like this?
No, because it's the more than we need. Because somebody said this week that maybe like for Christmas, kids should just expect $2 instead of 30. I don't think that's a selling point. We're not a country who's ever believed that we have enough.
This is all about perspective. It's very easy to use the word abundance and have it simultaneously reflect your own successes while also hinting at what you can provide to others from a source of strength.
That's not what an abundance mentality is, though. An abundance mentality is saying, I could get more. I deserve more. That's why we're here. We have the systems in place so that nobody can stop me from getting more. And having more isn't bad. More is just more.
Well, that's greed is good. Yeah. That's the gospel of wealth. Okay, here's where it goes to 2025.
Okay. Yep.
It definitely feels like there's something going on with the dollar, which it feels like might be the movie's way of saying that because of cryptocurrency, all nations' physical currencies are weakening to a certain degree, that there's a certain supplanting going on. The U.S. in this movie might actually be faring off better than the rest of the world. But that's not an easy message saying, yeah, things aren't great, but look at Europe, look at South America, look at Africa. Our dollar's doing better than them.
Well, that doesn't work. I believe Joe Biden tried that.
Yeah, he tried that, and look where he is now.
Yeah, look where he is now.
But that's just it. So that's the problem faced by Sutton. So that's why obviously, I guess what we're both talking around is the fact that her World Together plan, Plan Together?
The Together plan.
The Together plan, like it does not sound like a winning strategy for any presidential candidate in 2025.
No, none. I mean, but here's the thing. I wouldn't frame it in terms of abundance and we have too much. It's like, what do we get? What do we personally get out of it? And some of it is not, see it right now, part of it with the current guy's plan to get minerals from Ukraine.
Yeah.
Is it a fair thing for us to say, like, we're going to support you militarily, and in return, we need to get a little something back here as well? Is that fair? If it can be sold better to the American people by saying we're getting something out of it other than just peace, which for most people they're like, it's the other side of the world. I can't even comprehend that. What does that have to do with me? Why should I care about Ukrainians?
Yeah.
And you could say at least, well, we're getting these minerals. Okay. Like, as a selling point, if it helps sell the idea better, then what's the big deal about it? And so if she was able to sell the Together plan instead of saying, yes, it's helping farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, and also Americans are going to get this physical thing. And that's the same across for every country. What does the UK get out of it? Like, what's the selling point other than helping? Helping is great. I think that's the job of people in power, is to not just the people who elect them, but we do have a responsibility as being still the strongest entity on the face of the earth to help people across the globe. However, there's still always the political aspect of it that you do have to sell and you do have to consider. Otherwise, it's just, you're not going to have the opportunity to help more people.
And it's because of helping people. It's because, I'm on Republican side now, because basically this is what her motivation is.
Okay.
The reason why she wants to help people in Africa who are starving is because that's what Jesus would do. I'm totally serious here. You could spin it so that by solving world hunger, you're giving American grains a place to go. I could make an argument that the microloans are coming from, like, by the way, just because you're giving them a digital currency to help keep them afloat so their money isn't under their mattress, literally, the loans have to come from somewhere. The interest goes somewhere. That's also a source for American banks to benefit.
Yes, all the microloans together, it's a big old pot of money.
But I forget all that. I'm not going to argue all that now. I truly think that she is a Republican who ran on a what would Jesus do philosophy. And I do think that you can sell to the American public the need as a Christian nation to feed the world, because that's the only way to save the world, to save ourselves, to save others, to build the bridge, not just to the 21st century, but the bridge to literal heaven.
Heaven to heaven.
Yes.
You don't have to wait. You don't need to wait for the rapture. We already got the bridge.
Jesus is her co-pilot, is what I'm saying. So, by the way, I mean, if a Republican were to actually run for office on that platform, I can see a lot of liberals signing on, because I can see, an alignment of interests. There are definitely places where Jesus' message lines are right up with DSA's.
That's called the horseshoe.
Yes.
And it's mainly that they both hate Jews.
Motherfucker, I'm not asking if you're interested. I'm the president of the United fucking States, man.
Approval rating.
She's going to have arguably the highest approval rating out of anybody. I think there's still going to be a large segment of the American population who believe the deep fakes that Rutledge put out there are real and will believe in the conspiracy. In fact, what comes out of South Africa is that maybe there'll be even more people who believe in these conspiracies about the powers that be, about the elites around the world looking to consolidate their power, consolidate wealth.
Those videos are not going away.
I think her approval rating will be above 50%. At first, I was like, oh, she's probably like in the 70s or something. This is like a wartime president.
Yeah.
But this is a little different. I think she passes 50. I don't think she passes 60 after this, even though she's probably going to win a Nobel Peace Prize.
This is the problem that we frequently butt our heads against, and that is, what do you do when you have a hero president whose greatest adversary winds up being someone who they put into power? So the fact that her Treasury secretary was the ultimate Benedict Arnold, yes, she saved the day, but if she hadn't elevated the secretary to that position, then there might not have been this whole event at the G20 at all.
Yeah, never mind. It goes back to the idea you can't even control your family. How can we expect you?
Exactly. That was one of the tough questions she got early on. How can we trust you with the country when you can't be trusted as a mother to your own kids? You have your kids sneaking out. What if your whole country sneaks out? Yeah, what is the metaphor that I can't... In fact, that's what makes her relatable, is the fact that she's a mom with a daughter who she can't... Those are the kind of things that, like, people are suspicious of presidential kids when they're too good, because then you have to make up shit about, like, I think those Obama kids are smoking pot. They're 12. Yeah. What are you talking about? Whereas the Bush daughters, they were drinking in college. They were in trouble. And no one had to make stuff up about them. And now one of them is the host of the Today Show. The 4th hour, 5th hour, 3rd hour,
7th hour.
Okay, yeah, so I'll go a little bit higher than you, because I think she's got friends in the right places. I think the deep fakes are not ultimately going to keep her from reaching highs. And yeah, she's not going to get 100%, not going to get 90, not going to get 80, but she can break 60. We're looking at 64, 65% approval rating because she did kick butt. And then when the dust settles, I think the messaging is going to be, yeah, the Treasury Secretary was a traitor, but she ran against you anyway. You were never really, truly allies. She's the one who didn't get over her loss. She was the one who was bitter. I think in cases where you have, especially women, who wind up as frenemies, is as a society, it becomes too easy for the country to take sides. And I think the country's going to take the side of Sutton.
And at the end of the day, also, she could always, if she runs for a second term, I think she's going to win, because she's like, I've killed people. I will kill people for you.
She presumably killed people back in Iraq.
But now I killed them with my bare hands for you. Look at my dress. Actually, it was a shame that her dress was red. She should have chosen a different dress. That way you could see all the blood.
Exactly. Yeah, these colors don't run. Did she get a second term?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, look, the movie wants us to believe that. That's why we see her the Time Person of the Year. And, and it's a heroic looking photo, and she's solving world hunger. So she's definitely forget the Jesus stuff. She's definitely a bridge between America and the rest of the world. This is definitely an American public that gets a certain amount of pride from knowing that the U.S. is the leader when it comes to solving the world's problems.
Every other world leader huddled and was scared.
Yeah.
And their security teams got killed. Our president fucking shot guns, crushed necks.
Well, yeah, this is not an America that's obsessed with trade deficits. It's not an America that's obsessed with what other countries are giving to us or selling to us. No, this is an America that takes great pride in the fact that the U.S. is exporting optimism. The U.S. is exporting literal grains, loans. The U.S. is exporting culture. The U.S. is exporting leadership in a weird way. It sounds like a joke now to talk about this stuff, but you don't have to go back that far. Like when we were kids, there's a great amount of pride in knowing that the President of the United States was also the leader of the free world. It feels like ancient history now, but she's definitely a president who is able to, in a weird way, she's almost kind of Reagan-esque in that way, which is why I still think she's a Republican.
Well, this has been Fake Presidents. I've been Ben Oren.
I've been Eric Buckman.
Our wonderful music is by Johnny Sadoff. Our artwork is by Ann Hecker. You could find us. We're on the socials.
fakepresidents@gmail.com. You can email us, fake_presidents on Instagram and other places. What should we do in June? I mean, I guess we're going to do Angela Bassett and Mission Impossible, right?
Yeah, we got Mission Impossible.
Our inbox is still full of a couple movies that we've been dancing around. I mentioned it once before, Canadian Bacon.
Is Alan Alda the president in that one?
Is he in that?
Was he in it? I just watched the 4 seasons. You watch?
I did not see that.
There's no fake presidents in it, but very good.
So before we go, I would be remiss if I didn't inform the audience that I've been promising them my long-awaited explanation theory for why 2025 is the year of the new fake president.
Oh yeah, that was the cliffhanger. We've been getting cliffhangers.
Yeah, and I keep thinking that we've reached the end of our run. Except with John Cena coming in July, I'm going to do it then.
Nice. Oh, wow. The cliffhanger when we're still going to come back and do something else, and then you're going to reveal the cliffhanger? The cliffhanger for episode 8 is actually going to be revealed in 10. I love it. Well, if you at home have a theory about it, you could email us at fakepresidents@gmail.com. Bye.
Bye. That's back when Cinemax was getting into, I'm not going to say prestige stuff, because they were definitely going for more of a B-movie feel.
B-movie.
But like good, fun TV series, that and like Strike Back. And all that's gone now, because turn on the Max app, it would imply some Cinemax content might be there.
No, because if you search for Red Shoe Diaries, if you search for...
That was Showtime, Ben.
That was Showtime?
That was Showtime.
Skinemax. No, Cinemax. Oh, we're talking about Showtime.
Well, no, Red Shoe Diaries was specifically...
Oh, sorry.
That was Dave Duchovny's softcore experience, which at the time, everyone's like, it's weird that the star of X-Files would do a softcore porn thing on cable. And then you find out that, no, he's a sex addict in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Californication was actually a documentary.